Alright, don't worry, your wallets are relatively safe this week. We're looking at a couple of budget gaming headset options from a company called Koss. Never heard of them? Well, their founder actually invented the stereo headphone back in '58. I love to see audio companies getting involved in the gaming space. Sennheiser's done some incredible things, but they come with a really hefty price tag. So for between 60 and 75 bucks, let's see what these bring to the table.
You're looking for cheap PC games? Check out Kingwin.net. Click the link in the description below to help support the channel and never pay full retail again.
Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching Bad Seed Tech, and today we're taking a look at a couple different headsets from a company called Koss. This is the GMR series. These come in a couple different flavors. The 540 ISO, which is a closed back design, and the 545-AIR, which is an open back design and is practically unheard of in the gaming space at this price point. Both these headsets feature 40mm drivers. They're rated at 35 ohms with a frequency response between 15 and 22,000 hertz. These are designed primarily for the PC, but can be used with the console, mostly for audio. Comms get a little more difficult. Let's take a look at what both have in common before we get into the difference in the sound. Packaging is pretty straightforward, no frills. It includes the headset, a 4-foot aux cable to use with a phone or other device with a jack, and the 8-foot cable with detachable microphone. And both these flavors come with either a USB or a traditional headphone and mic breakout, depending on your needs, though you will pay a $15 premium for the USB variety. The first thing that strikes you when you get these out of the box is these things are featherweight. I'm talking 228 grams with the mic attached or 193 grams for the closed back with no mic. To put that in perspective, the HyperX Stinger clocks in at 260 grams and the Sennheiser Game 1's at 266 grams. The open back version is even lighter than that, coming in at 168 grams without the mic attached. So that's the first obvious feature, removable cables, which you hardly ever see at this price point. These are really thin, rubberized, and flexible, so cable noise is not a thing at all. The thickness does make me a little nervous here because, especially with the 8-foot cable, it has a tendency to lay on the floor. Show of hands how many of us have ran over our headphone cable with our office chair before, and I don't know if these will stand up to that. And don't expect to use your mic if these are hooked up to your phone. If you get the USB variety, it's out altogether. If you get the plug version, they're already separated into a separate mic and headphone, so no dice there either. In theory, you might be able to use an adapter to bridge these two plugs into a single 4-pole, but you're still gonna be wrestling with 8 foot of aux cable at that point, so it's not really practical either way you go. Now, the frame here is all plastic, and it uses a small tension band inside for a one-size-fits-all option, kind of like what you'd see on the HyperX Revolver. The padding is minimal, but in practice it could be no padding at all and it would still be perfectly fine because these things are so lightweight. Now again, you have to be careful here if you have a tall head, i.e. the measurement from the bottom of your earlobe to the crown of your head, because this band, the tension really increases when you get to the end of this thing here. And because there's virtually no clamping force at all, it's gonna wanna pull those cans up vertically. So if you've got them all the way around your ears, you can find those cans moving up and bunching up your earlobes in the bottom of the ear cups. If they lay on the outside of your ears, especially with the closed back version, you're gonna be breaking the seal there, so you could jeopardize bass response. On the flip side of that coin, if you have an average sized head and you're really sensitive to clamping force, these have none at all, so they're a great option for you. The cups themselves here are intended to be over ear, and they are D cup shaped to be like the shape of an ear like we see on some of the newer Sennheisers. They're leather red, the foam is like a medium density, it's actually pretty comfortable. There is no swivel here at all, just vertical tilt. Because they're light, you can wear these around your neck, but it's more like wearing them on the sides of your neck. If you try to pull that headband out and wear them all the way around your neck, you're just gonna choke yourself out. And again, due to the weight of these things, they disappear on your head in like 30 seconds. You put them on, you completely forget about it. After hours of use, I had no discomfort anywhere, no pressure points, no pinch, no irritation, and virtually no heat buildup, especially with the open back designs. These guys go the distance. You have to be a little concerned about the build quality here because due to the weight, they feel, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like frail. Now, there's not a lot of moving parts here. There's not a complex hinging system. There's not anything that you could really see that would fail on these over an extended period of time. It would pretty much be a complete degradation of the plastic itself. But Koss has been making headphones for a long time, and I'm sure they know their stuff when it comes to picking the right materials. Now, the mic itself has got a good flex. It's completely adjustable, but it does lose a couple points for me with the way that it attaches to the headset. First off, it just plugs into a 3.5mm jack. There's nothing here to prevent this thing from swiveling around inside that jack. HyperX gets around this by molding a little plastic key shape almost into the mic itself, which fits into the same shape into the headset. So this is something that Koss might want to take a look at for future revisions. The mic also has this section at the top. It's about 23 centimeters long where the mic and the cable are both mated to the plug. Now, this becomes an issue because the mic is situated to point straight down from the plug. So after you plug this into the jack, it travels straight down quite a ways. You gotta bend it back up and towards your mouth. Now this looks a bit odd versus some of the other headsets out there. And because it travels down so low, it has a tendency to make contact with thick hoodies, especially if you have poor posture at the desk. And if somebody in the room speaks to you and you turn your head to look over your shoulder, chances are you're gonna wind up with the mic mashed against your face.
All right, so what you're hearing right now is the Koss mic going in directly via USB. I did do some A/B comparisons with the breakout version going into the Realtek onboard, and I can tell you that in practice, the USB version does sound a little thinner to me. The highs have a tendency to get a little harsher as well, but it comes with the benefit of being able to retain noise reduction. So these are Cherry MX Browns that you're hearing me type on in the background. I could not do this on the Realtek onboard. If I use the noise reduction at all on the Realtek, it just becomes a squelchy, unusable mess. Now, the other thing you need to be aware of here is that there is no physical inline mic mute. On other headsets at this price point, if you wanted to mute comms outside of Discord or Systray, you could just physically pull the mic out and retain audio. Because of the way the cabling is designed here, you can't do that. So if you pull the mic out, you lose audio altogether. So it's important to have that aux cable pretty close by if you're going to make that physical adjustment. So that's another revision that Koss may want to investigate looking at the cabling system going forward. But nonetheless, pretty happy with the mic performance here.
All right, moment of truth time, the sound. None of the features on earth make any difference at all if they don't sound good. Now the mic being such a strong performer is a good sign. Let's start with the closebacks. And the verdict, pretty damn good actually. The closebacks definitely have a tighter soundstage. The highs are very clear and defined, the bass is very low, and it's punchy, but it could be a little warmer for my taste. The bass response with the closebacks is gonna have a lot to do with your head size and your ear size. Like the cups on these things, for me, skirt the line between on-ear and over-ear. So if it doesn't make contact completely under my earlobes, it's gonna jeopardize the seal. I have a tendency to pull these things down a little bit and really squeeze them in tight so I get that good seal, and that's gonna really help out the bass response on these. If anything's lacking for me at all here, it's gotta be the mids. Like when you're listening to music arrangement, at high volumes, these have a tendency to get a little muddy when there's too much going on. So like if the highs are going and the bass comes in, you're gonna lose the mids a little bit in the mix. Now that is only with music listening and a little bit with movie watching. I didn't notice this at all in game. The biggest advantage of these cans versus say like the HyperX Stinger is that I was able to get significantly more volume out of these at max volume than I was the HyperX. That makes these a really solid choice too for the PS4 in a pinch, provided you don't need comms. And as we've seen with console comparisons, they work great for the Xbox, which always has a tendency to come in much louder for the audio. But the open backs. The open backs are something really special at this price point. If you've heard other people sing the praises of an open back headset before, and you've always wanted to try but just didn't have the room and the budget, these are exactly what you've been waiting for. They also use a 40mm driver with this set, but it's different than the one in the closebacks. This thing can provide some really low bass for an open back headset. Like seriously, a surprising amount of bass. These deliver all the benefits and drawbacks of an open back design, which means you get that really wide immersive soundstage, and you're gonna sacrifice some isolation to do that. I don't find the effect here to be as pronounced as some of the higher end offerings that are out there, but at this price point, it's really tough to beat. Tested in Witcher 3, The Division, Far Cry 5, and Hunt Showdown, where directional positioning and audio cues are hugely important, these things delivered the goods, and there was no issue with audio volume on either of the consoles here either. It's worth noting here too that I did virtually all the testing either with the USB dongle or with the onboard audio, because I feel like if you're shopping for a headset at this price point, chances are that's what you're gonna be using. But I did take these guys for a ride on the Arc as well for some music listening, and they'll hold up to some pretty serious volume levels before that distortion starts to set in. So what we've got here are two really solid options at a budget price point. For a closed back, they'd be pretty tough to dethrone the HyperX Stinger. They really go blow for blow there. The Stinger for me has a more immersive sound, has better physical mic design, it retains the ability to use your mic with your phone, and it fits a larger range of heads. But the 540 ISO does have some advantages here, namely the detachable cables, the incredible mic quality, and the biggest advantage is probably the additional volume output. These things get loud. But the 545-AIR's an open back design at this price point, it's a no-brainer to me. If you've always wanted to see what an open back gaming headset was all about, and you just couldn't prioritize the spend, you should definitely check these out. All in all, both really solid budget offerings from Koss. I'm impressed. The actual mic implementation and the cabling system should probably be addressed in future revisions. The frame will be comfortable for most head sizes. The weight that they've managed to achieve here is absolutely mind-blowing, though I would be skittish about throwing these in a bag for the weekend. Again, that's just me. I have no idea if these things are gonna hold up or not. It's just the fact that they are so light makes them seem a little fragile. Again, I love to see an audio company throwing their hat in the ring when it comes to the gaming market. Based on what I've seen Koss achieve at this price point, I would really like to see a super high-end offering from them. I know they've got the audio chops to pull it off, but please, if you're watching, don't go for the Fast and Furious gamer aesthetic. We all hate that. Just take like a nice, simple monochrome color scheme, something that's gonna look nice, classy, in a wide variety of setups. So that's gonna do it for this time. Big thanks to Martin over Koss for sending these out, and to a buddy, the Prophesist on Twitter. Check him out if you can. Guy's super knowledgeable. He's the one that turned me onto this line in the first place. Really appreciate it. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button, and until next time, stay up.